Happy Monday. Today is social science time, and you need your Chromebook, your social science notebook, and your pencil. Please go to your Chromebook, go to Safari Montage, and go to Unit what? Jamari, what unit are we on?
Unit 5.
Unit 5. Okay. What's the standards for today?
SM.
IS
IS is
1.6-8. Objective. Students will be able to examine cause and effect of human-made hierarchies on the daily lives of people from various social, cultural, and ethnic groups. Essential question. How has individuals and groups resist systems of power and oppression? Vocabulary words. Class, fairness, and colonialism. So those are the words that we will be learning today, the vocabulary words. And before we get started, we must do our do now. And the do now is the same as the essential question. How has individuals and groups resist system of power and oppression? And I put a little star here so that you can think about people and movements. So think about people and movements, and that will help you answer the question. I'm going to give you 3 minutes to answer the question, okay? I will know that you're finished with answering the question when you give me a thumbs up. I'm going to walk around and just look and see your thinking. 3 minutes have started. You're answering the question. Think about people and movements. Think about people and movements. In this lesson, they talked about people and movements and people that groups that resist systems of power, that they fought for something. It was people, they named people. They named people and movements. So try your best to spell it, but they named some people in here. You can just put the person name and you put the movement. But please make sure that you jot down your thoughts because I'm going to ask you to share. So think of some people. No, you can't use this right now. You just using your own thinking. Think about the story. Who did they talk about? What people did they talk about? You can use bullet points. Resistance. I think we went over the word resistance. You can ask Google. Ask Google and see what resistance means. But you have a minute. They talked about people in the story that resisted people in power, and they talked about how this person started a civil rights movement. The person name they mentioned. Okay, so put that person name. Resistance. Go back. Refrain from or doing or having. So they talked about a person or people in this story, Raymond. Yes. You can put people. They talk about a specific person. He started a movement during the 1950s and 1960s. Okay, don't say it out loud, but go ahead and write down the person, okay? And just go to the best of your knowledge, and because I'm going to ask you, and you can tell me the name. Okay, you have about 24 seconds to wrap up your answer. Okay, that's time. Okay, can I have a volunteer to tell me who they put? The question was, how have individuals and groups resist systems of power and oppression? Yes, Jamari, who did you write?
Dr. Luther King.
So you wrote Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and why?
Because he was the one who started the, civil rights,
Yes, he started civil rights what?
protesting.
Protest movement.
That we can share, like, go to the same schools that white people and do the same, to get the civil rights process.
Yes, thank you. Raylon, would you like to agree with Jamari or disagree?
Agree.
You agree, why? Who did you pick?
Martin Luther King Jr.
And why did you pick Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.?
Because he was, going against the white people.
So he was going against, white people. And what else would you like to add?
And voting.
So he was protesting. And what was he protesting against? What was he saying? What did he want?
Black Lives Matter.
Okay, so back then he was still protesting like Black Lives Matter. And how did he do that? What did he do?
He gathered up a lot of people and he protested.
So he got a lot of people together, he protested, and he said he wanted what for black people? Equal what?
Equal rights.
Equal rights, and he wanted freedom, and he wanted them to have, start with a J. Justice. He wanted black people to have the same rights as who?
Martin Luther King Jr.
Okay, so,
White people.
same rights as white people or other people that was non-black. Okay, so, good job. So you guys were able to pick a person and you was able to say a movement, which Jamari said, civil rights movement. So now let's read the story. Let's see what the story is gonna say.
Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. is known for his role during the American Civil Rights Movement of the 1950s and 1960s. His aim was to secure equal civil and economic rights for Black Americans. King also worked to advance similar goals on a global scale. He visited India in 1959 and wrote about the economic and social inequalities he saw there. King recognized that India's caste system was like the segregation he experienced in the United States. He witnessed systemic injustice as a social norm. Groups of people were treated as inferior not because of their actions or the mistakes they made, but because of things they could not change, such as their genetics and the conditions into which they were born. King called for an international brotherhood to come together to help correct these imbalances. Like Franco, Biko, and Q, King was killed because of his work against systems of oppression. On April 4th, 1968, King was assassinated by a white man in Memphis, Tennessee, where King was appearing to support a strike by sanitation workers. Although his work was prematurely cut short, King's legacy and the work of other American civil rights activists inspired people to continue pushing for equal rights for Black Americans and other marginalized groups.
Okay, so when the people such as King, Q, Bako, and Franco came together to try to correct or stop people or work against systems of oppression, what happened to them, Jamari? What happened to them? When King and the others tried to stop people from systems of oppression, they was executed, assassinated, they were murdered. Why do you think they was murdered, Raylon?
Because
Wait, Raylon.
they was trying to give black people the same treatment.
They're the same race. Would you like to add on to it, Jamari? Why do you think that they were murdered or assassinated?
Because of their color.
Because of their color? Okay. So, these people, he called for a brotherhood. Do you know what a brotherhood means? A brotherhood. So a brotherhood is asking for people to come together. Let's form a brotherhood. Let's ask for the same rights. Let's demand the same equality. We're gonna start a brotherhood. Let's say, Jamari, you lived in Texas and Raylon lived in New York, and you call him and say, let's form a brotherhood and let's make sure that all people or black people have the same rights. So therefore, y'all will do things together, protest together, try to vote for the same laws to get equality for everybody. So that's a brotherhood. It's just like having a friend, and now it's a brotherhood, meaning a closer or stronger bond. Any questions about the systems of oppression or the individuals? No. Question, Raylon, if this was you back then and you had to fight for people's right to help people, what would you do? How would you protest? Where would you go to protest? Who would you get? How many people would you
Probably
get?
in my house.
So you'll start with your family members and y'all protest where and go where to protest about what? What would you protest about?
About how black people need their rights.
Okay, so you're protesting about how black people need rights. And where would you protest at? Where would you go?
The streets.
You'll go to the streets.
The black people they live with.
Okay, so you'll go to your own community and you'll try to get as many black people together to protest and ask everybody to come together to fight for black people's rights. Okay. What about you, Jamari? Where would you go? Who would you get? And what would you protest for?
I would protest the safety of the White House.
So you would gather who?
Like black people.
You would gather a whole bunch of black people and you said you would go into the white communities to protest, asking for black people's rights?
I would go by the White House.
Oh, the White House. So you were going from the White House in protest. Do you know where the White House is located? What state?
New York.
No, not in New York. No, not in Texas. Washington, D.C. The White House is located in Washington, D.C. Say it with me. The White House is located where? In Washington, D.C. So if you wanted to go protest in front of the White House, Jamari, you're going where to protest? Washington, D.C. What about you, Raylon? If you need to protest